Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your AEW Dynamite post show, man. And there is a lot to talk about in today's episode. We hear from Tommaso Ciampa. We also have a Continental title matchup between Jon Moxley defending the Continental Championship against Shane Taylor. That also goes down on Dynamite. We also hear from TNT champion Kevin Knight. We got Mark Briscoe in action taking on Pac from the Death Riders. We also hear from MJF as well. We also have Andrade in action taking on Orange Cassidy. And we also have the Owen Hart Cup Tournament quarterfinal matchup between Sky Blue and Maya World. Now we'll talk about that in today's episode as well. And we also have Kenny Omega announcement for Forbidden Door, I would say. Looks like Kenny Omega has a match at Forbidden Door against Zack Sabre Jr. We'll talk about that in today's episode as well. And we also have the Owen Hart Cup Tournament semifinal match in the men's bracket between Swerve Strickland and Brody King. And we'll talk about that in today's episode as well. But before I even get into the show, man, I want to talk about Dynamite a little bit before I even break down this show. I'm going to be honest, man. You know, I've been saying it now for the past couple weeks. It is hard for me to find any kind of enjoyment out of Dynamite, man. I don't know what happened with AEW, and I know a lot of people, man, and I can't stress this enough. I know there's a lot of content creators out there that do this, that, you know, have their own, you know, opinions about AEW and their own, you know, mindset when it goes into watching AEW. And a lot of people have that negative mindset going into watching AEW because there's not a lot to hold on to right now in AEW as far as being entertained or being excited to watch the show. Now, you know, when I did my Double or Nothing review, when they were in Queens, New York, I thought it was probably, if not the best pay-per-view of all of 2026 so far. I still believe that. But I also told you guys, too, that, you know, when it pertains to Tony Khan, we all know, it's been well aware that Tony Khan is Mr. Pay-Per-View. He puts on some of the best pay-per-views in all professional wrestling, and Double or Nothing is the definition of that. It was an absolute banger show. But when it comes to the weekly episodic television, whether it's Dynamite or Collision, man, he turns into Mr. Pay-Per-View to Mr. Lazy. And this was the pure definition of that as well from Dynamite last night. I did not like this show. I thought this show was absolutely fucking boring. It's 2.5 hours. Well, I would say 2 hours and, let's say, 15 minutes? 2 hours, 20 minutes. I think they had like a 20-minute overrun last night for the main event match between Swerve Strickland and Brody King, which, again, I thought was a decent match. It's hard for me to find the enjoyment in this show anymore, man. And I really don't get it. I don't get it. Because at the end of the day, it's not like they don't have the talent, man. They have the talent. It's the creative behind AEW. I don't know who is in that writing team, if there even is a writing team for AEW. Whoever that individual is. I don't give a shit if it's Will Washington. I don't give a damn who the hell it is. That guy needs to go. I'm sorry. The way they write these shows, man, it's not even... You can sit here and say, oh yeah, it's formulaic. The way they run these shows is very similar week to week to week, which again gets very, very boring. But there's no excitement with whatever bullshit stories they want to put together that they want to call stories for AEW. It's just not there, man. It's not. And, you know, you sit there and watch these shows, and, you know, I watch these shows every single week, whether it's Raw, Dynamite, and at one time it was SmackDown. The reason why I'm not covering SmackDown, man, is because I told you guys, man, for me personally, I'm already having a rough time mentally alone and not being mentally drained watching Dynamite, let alone watching SmackDown for 3 goddamn hours on a Friday night. SmackDown's fucking awful. I'm sorry. Look, Cody Rhodes is on the show. I know that, Finn Balor's there. I don't give a damn who's on the show, bro. The only way that show on SmackDown is going to be remotely entertaining is if you bring in the likes of like a CM Punk or Obafemi. I'm sorry. I don't know what... You know, I respect the hell out of Cody Rhodes, and I've stated that multiple times. But Cody Rhodes is not enough star power to get fans invested into watching a 3-hour SmackDown show, which seemingly has no storytelling, or the storytelling they have on the show means jack shit. And Dynamite's on the same boat. You know what I mean? Like, it's... With Dynamite, it seems like every single week, and I feel like, and call me crazy, but I feel like ever since Darby Allin had won the AEW title, and he was throwing out these open challenges, and everybody was gunning for Darby Allin, now that Darby Allin had lost the title, and MJF beat Darby Allin at Double or Nothing for the AEW World title, now it's like rinse and fucking repeat. Now you have Andrade, Kevin Knight, all these other individuals, Mark Briscoe, coming out the woodworks. Hey, I want a title shot. Hey, I talked to Tony Khan. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. To me, it goes back to what I said about Brody King. You have to earn it. Brody King was in the Owen. You know, he was trying to become number one contender through the Owen to win the Owen, which would have granted Brody King an opportunity at the AEW World title, which, again, he would have earned it. But to me, I'm tired of, well, I went to the backstage area and I talked to Tony Khan. And I'm going to be honest, man, you know, the whole shit with Briscoe, you know, a lot of people probably give me a bunch of flack about it. It was like, man, what the hell is he talking about when it pertains to Mark Briscoe? How dare you say that about Briscoe? I didn't say nothing bad about Briscoe. I think Briscoe is an underrated talent. I think the Briscoes alone, rest in peace to Jay, are one of the most underrated tag teams of all time. If you had an opportunity to watch the Briscoes in a tag team matchup, I don't give a shit if it was in Ring of Honor, New Japan, TNA, AEW. I don't give a shit where you were able to watch a Briscoes tag team matchup. You knew when you watched the Briscoes in a tag team match that it was the definition of tag team wrestling. Absolutely. The issue I have with Mark Briscoe, especially when it pertains to this MJF AEW World title situation, which we'll talk about in today's episode as well, is, yeah, he cut a great promo last week. He talked about Jay. He talked about the fact that he lost his passion for professional wrestling, and the fact that he found some friends in the conglomeration, which kind of, you know, sparked the love that he had for professional wrestling once again, which by all means is fantastic. It's awesome. And I'm glad that Mark is here in AEW. But do I see Mark being a main event guy or a guy that's going to carry AEW on his back as the AEW World Champion? No, I do not. I just don't see it. And it's not just Mark Briscoe that I don't see that. I don't see other individuals in AEW being a top guy for AEW and carrying the title on their back. I mean, I don't see Mark Davis being a guy that's going to have the AEW World title and carry the company on his back. You know, Jake Doyle, I don't see him being a guy that's going to win the AEW World title and carrying this company on his back. It doesn't scream main event caliber talent. It doesn't speak a main event star in AEW. And again, it's not these individuals' faults. It's also the fact that AEW and Tony Khan are not pushing these individuals into the main event scene. You look at somebody like Mark Briscoe, where 9 times out of 10, it's not like he's going up against top contenders that are considered for the title. You know? What was it, last night he went up against Pac? Pac is not considered for a TNT title opportunity and not even sniffing an AEW World Championship opportunity. And Pac, at best, is in the middle of the card, man. That's just the way it is. I don't even think Pac is the biggest member of his entire stable. I think it's Moxley and Claudio are the two guys that are, you know, leading the Death Riders. And Wheeler Yuta might be at the bottom. I think Pac might be the third best member of the Death Riders. But, I mean, again, it's not like he's going after an AEW World title or a TNT Championship. Hell, Pac has not even said anything remotely close about going after a TNT title or the AEW World Championship since he's pretty much almost been in AEW at this point, which has been a while. So, to me, with Briscoe, it's the reason why you're running this back with Briscoe is because, one, everybody, your top contenders were tied up in the Owen. Swerve, Ospreay, Brody King, to name a couple that were in this tournament. Samoa Joe's taking some time off to film a TV show. Adam Page can't even challenge for the title, but he's not even on TV right now. He hasn't been on TV since he lost the title. Jay White is injured. We don't know when Jay White's coming back as well. Adam Cole, you know, the Young Bucks have made comments about, Adam Cole as far as his status right now. And all I've heard them say is that Adam Cole is, in recovery. You know, he's taking his time and he's trying to recruit and recover and, have some R&R and see where we're at, maybe here soon, maybe the next 6 months with Adam Cole. I don't know. But there's not top challengers right now to face off against MJF. Now, to me, you're also running this back with Briscoe and MJF due to the fact that you're talking about a match that took place about almost, 9 months ago at All Out in a tables and tacks match between MJF and Briscoe, where Briscoe was successful in that matchup. But we're talking, 9 months ago? It's almost been a goddamn year that you're running this back based on that storyline. A year almost. 9 months. It's like, dude, I mean, goddamn, bro. You guys have had plenty of time to run a situation back with MJF and Mark Briscoe. Absolutely. I mean, my thing, as far as Briscoe is concerned, I'll go back and even say, I don't know if he was injured or not, but when AEW had that bullshit makeshift tournament with the likes of Samoa Joe and Adam Page and Kenny Omega and Andrade, why was Mark Briscoe not in that? You know what I mean? Why was Briscoe not in that makeshift tournament? Why was Briscoe not in the Owen? Where he could have earned the opportunity to face MJF if he would have won the Owen. I think Briscoe winning the Owen would have been great. But instead, you don't put him in a tournament, and obviously his track record in tournaments are not that good, considering the fact that he hasn't really won a tournament, number one. And number two, if you go back to the Continental Classic tournaments, Briscoe was literally at the bottom of the list. It was hard for him to even get a win in these tournaments. So his track record in AEW as far as tournaments are concerned is not the greatest. So, I don't know, man. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. I think, MJF, I stated this the last time with Darby Allin and MJF. MJF is the guy that's keeping the lights on. He told Briscoe himself, him being AEW champion is best for business. I agree with that. I agree with that 100% because MJF is your biggest star. Whether you like the guy or not, he is the biggest star in AEW. I told you guys, bro, when the time comes and MJF decides to pack up his shit and walk out the fucking door in AEW, it's going to rattle the core of AEW. I can guarantee it. Absolutely. Because that's a huge star for AEW where, it was hard for them to bounce back from Cody Rhodes. It was hard for them to bounce back from CM Punk. Cody Rhodes might have been the heart of AEW, but CM Punk was the guy he was the pulse. You know what I mean? In my honest opinion, CM Punk was the pulse of AEW. The guy bringing in the eyeballs, bringing in the fans, and getting the excitement around AEW. CM Punk was that guy. CM Punk, at that time when he came into AEW, I'm telling you guys right now, he was Tony Khan's ace in the hole. He was the guy that was going to take AEW into the stratosphere and have them try to be, or at least attempt to be, the number one company of, in all of professional wrestling in the States. And unfortunately that backfired between CM Punk and Tony Khan, and now we all know where CM Punk is currently at with WWE. So, I don't know, man. I just feel like, AEW, and I said this from the jump, and I've been saying this for the past couple of years now. Ever since Tony Khan and AEW signed that new TV rights deal, Tony Khan decided to put AEW in cruise control, man. Put it in cruise control, because at that point he knew that AEW was a viable product, and all the hard work that he did up to that point, all the excitement, all the intrigue, that he could, he can press the brakes on it, because he knew that it was a viable product and that he already got his TV rights deal. The mission was accomplished for him. It was a successful TV rights deal for him. So at that point he was in cruise control and he didn't give a shit anymore. And it shows, man. I mean, look, I feel like the work that Tony Khan puts in is obviously trying to acquire talent. I mean, it's already been rumored and speculated that AEW is bringing in national TV talent, from what I was told, television talent to AEW. Now, we all know and speculate who that can be. Obviously, Woods and Kofi, the New Day. There might be the Motor City Machine Guns as well. Maybe Kairi Sane. Could be Karrion Kross. I know there was some rumors about Kross saying that he had, has talked to Tony Khan and believes that door is open for him to go over to AEW, but there has to be a serious commitment. Kross is a guy where he's not going to bounce around from place to place to place. I mean, he's loyal. You know what I mean? You can't fault the guy for that. He wants to go to a place where he wants to spend the next 10, 15 years of his wrestling career, if he hasn't, with one specific company. And he's willing to put his body and life on the line for that company. You got to respect it. I mean, right now, Kross is an MLW, man, and he's killing it right now. MLW just had a whole new rebrand and everything else right now, and they're killing it. They're on YouTube's, I believe, on Saturdays or some shit like that, or Thursday, whatever the hell it is, during the week. But I watched one of their episodes for MLW, Major League Wrestling, and Kross is their AEW World Champion. I think he's having a title defense here soon against Matt Riddle. So I did watch that, man, and to be honest with you, the production wasn't bad. The matches were good. I think Dijak and Bishop Dwyer, whatever the hell his name is, Baron Corbin, at one time were their MLW Tag Team Champions. That's the Skyscrapers. So, I mean, again, Shotzi Blackheart's over there. She's killing it as well. I think she's the MLW Women's Champion. So MLW is doing big shit too. So, I mean, as far as AEW, I just feel like they lost the excitement. They lost the fact of having fun in AEW. And enjoying to be at work and having fun. That's the problem with this company anymore, man. They forgot how to have fun. And I think it's ultimately one of those things that slowly but surely is going to cripple AEW. They forgot how to have fun, man. Everybody's glamour for a goddamn title shot. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's like people trying to pick a number at the DMV. Oh yeah, here's his number. Let's give this guy a title shot. I mean, I've heard the stories of talent. I remember Statlander had an interview with Chris Van Fleet. I'll never forget this interview, man. And Statlander had, stated, to Chris Van Fleet that there was a time where Statlander was backstage. And she was just sitting backstage, I guess, hanging out. And Toni Storm, at that time, was the current AEW Women's Champion. She storms through the backstage area. She spots Statlander and said, hey, I'm going to give you an AEW World Title opportunity. And Stat was like, oh, okay. Obviously I'm not going to pass it up, but okay. And that's how that match came to fruition. So again, it does tell you that how much storyline, A, does AEW have, and how much power certain individuals have within the confines of AEW. If they're just picking their opponents and saying, hey, I'm going to defend the title against you. That's what I want to do. That's where it comes down to Tony Khan being a boss. Tony Khan needs to stop being chummy and friends with these people. You know what I mean? You always want to go backstage and share some White Claws with these, individuals, man. You need to be a boss. And whoever's in creative, they need to piss off and fuck off and go somewhere else, man. I don't know if it's Will Washington or whoever the hell it is that's writing creative for AEW, but they need to fuck off. It is horrible, man. It is absolutely mind-numbing. Last night's show, Dynamite's episode last night might have been the worst Dynamite in all of 2026. It made no sense. Christ, that Tommaso Ciampa shit, we'll talk about here in a minute, that was fucking brutal. That was probably some of the worst shit I've ever seen from Tommaso Ciampa. I think that whole segment was put together from ChatGPT. I swear to Christ. Because it was awful. And it's sad because I'm a big fan of Ciampa. I love his work. I love what he did in NXT, obviously, with the NXT Black and Gold brand. And he was a major force to be reckoned with within the confines of NXT, hands down. When you think of NXT Black and Gold, you think of Tommaso Ciampa. But whatever the hell this shit was last night, I don't know who decided to put this shit together for Tommaso Ciampa, but my God, man, it was fucking cringy. It was absolutely cringy. I'm sitting there watching this whole promo that Ciampa cut last night. I'm like, man, I don't know what the fuck happened. But my God, man, somebody was typing this shit in and ChatGPT was like, you know what, here's the script. Read it before you go out and Godspeed. And man, that whole segment just fumbled. It was awful, man. This whole Dynamite episode last night was fucking awful. I'm sorry. It's fucking boring. I'm sorry. I know there's other content creators out there saying the same shit I'm saying. But man, it's hard for me to disagree with them. This show is fucking boring. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. Coming out of Queens, New York at Double or Nothing, one of their biggest shows of the year. Arguably probably one of the best pay-per-views they've ever had. In my honest opinion. It's up there. And then you look at Dynamite, man, it's almost like it's a different goddamn company. Like, what the fuck happened? Like, where is the enthusiasm? Where is the excitement? Where is this the overall just, I don't know, man, just the entertainment of it? What the fuck happened? Honestly. Double or Nothing was great. Was fantastic. But, man, Dynamite and Collision, it is just, like, mind-numbing bullshit. Where is the excitement? Where is the goddamn enthusiasm with this shit? Because, like I said, man, when it pertains to their weekly episodic television, Tony Khan seemed like, it seems as if Tony Khan doesn't give a rat's ass about Dynamite or Collision, man. Knowing that these Dynamite and Collision shows should be telling a story for us leading into the next pay-per-view, like Forbidden Door, coming up at the end of June. Where's the fucking story? Where is the intrigue? Where is the excitement? Where is the enthusiasm on this goddamn show? What happened? Like, honestly, I feel like Tony Khan just does not give a shit about this show, man. Seriously. Like, you're booking, I feel like at times, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I feel like there is talent backstage that approach Tony Khan backstage and say, hey, what about this idea? And hey, I want to do this. And Tony Khan, because he wants to be their best friend, oh yeah, we'll do that for you. We'll give you that. Rather than being a boss and saying, hey, we're going to go this direction, we might come back to this. Right now, this doesn't make sense. Let's wait on this. Let's stall on this. But let's do this first. Get some fan intrigue. Get some fan excitement. And then we'll get to this. Because like I said, you're playing back a storyline between Briscoe and MJF that happened 9 months ago at All Out. And now 9 months later, you want to run back a matchup that happened 9 months ago prior to now. Y'all had all this fucking time to run this shit back between MJF and Mark Briscoe. And I gave one of those incidents, or one of those examples, I would say, when Tony Khan put together this bullshit tournament with Brody King, Andrade, Swerve, Kenny Omega, Adam Page. I think Samoa Joe was supposed to be in it, but was out due to injury. Like, why couldn't we put Mark Briscoe in that tournament? If he really wanted to go after the AEW World title at that time, which I believe MJF was world champion, why was that something that we could not entertain? Rather than Brody King challenging MJF in Australia, why couldn't it be Mark Briscoe? And Briscoe could have took the loss in Australia. Why was that something that we did not entertain? Why did it have to be Brody King? You know what I'm saying? Especially, I believe Briscoe was actually healthy and was competing at that time. So I don't understand why couldn't we run it back then? We got to run it back now. 9 months later from their tables and tax match at All Out. Come on, man. Come on, bro. You know, and like I said, I respect the hell out of Briscoe, man, but I don't see him being a guy that's carrying this company on his back. I don't. I'm sorry. I told you guys, what was it, last week? I think the best thing for Briscoe, in my honest opinion, is for him to go to Ring of Honor and try to become Ring of Honor World Champion. In a brand that literally made the Briscoes. There would be no talks of a Mark or Jay Briscoe, or the Briscoes for that matter, if it wasn't for Ring of Honor. These two guys made Ring of Honor. These two guys made Ring of Honor Tag Team Wrestling. When you think of Ring of Honor, you think of the Briscoes. You better believe it. So my thing is why are we not entertaining the fact that, A, you don't use Mark Briscoe that much on AEW television as it is, and when you do, you're forcing him down our throats with this whole bullshit with him and MJF. But other than that, he ain't doing shit. He's having matches on Collision. And he's barely even doing that. So my thing is, with Mark Briscoe, why are we not entertaining him going over to Ring of Honor and challenging for the Ring of Honor World title? On a brand that literally made Mark Briscoe. Why are we not considering that? Because you got no problem. I mean, Christ, bro, they brought over Shane Taylor last night on Dynamite, and the only reason why they fucking brought Shane Taylor over to Dynamite last night is because Dynamite was live from Cincinnati, Ohio. So Tony Khan said, hey, you know what? He's from Ohio. Jon Moxley's from Ohio. Let's have two Ohio guys in the middle of the ring, and to make it special, let's put the Continental title on the line. First and foremost, I haven't seen Shane Taylor on AEW Dynamite television. I don't know how the hell long. Number one. Number two, what the hell has he done to grant a Continental title matchup? Number two. And number three, you're telling me we're booking this goddamn bullshit because Shane Taylor's from Cleveland, Ohio, and Jon Moxley's from Cincinnati? Get the fuck out of here, man. Talk about ABC booking bullshit. Like, come on, bro. Oh, it's a good idea. Let's book Jon Moxley and Shane Taylor. We got Jon Moxley. He's from Cincinnati. We're live from Cincinnati. And let's bring in a guy from Cleveland and Shane Taylor, which seemingly nobody gives a shit about. Come on, bro. Shane Taylor needs to stay in Ring of Honor. I don't need to see that dude in AEW, man. I'm sorry. I give a rat's ass about Shane Taylor. I'm going to keep it a stack. I don't give a shit. I really don't. Stay in Ring of Honor. You know, I respect the hell out of Roosh, but if they're not going to do anything with Roosh, Roosh needs to go over to Ring of Honor. This is a former Ring of Honor world champion. If you got no plans for him, and clearly you don't, because the only push that you ever gave Roosh so far was an AEW title matchup that seemingly wasn't going to go Roosh's way anyway. So my thing is, if you're not going to utilize them, where clearly I don't think they are, then let's move Rush over to Ring of Honor. Why not? Why not? You know what I mean? Let's make sense of this. Mark Briscoe, you're not going to really utilize him that much. Let's move him over to Ring of Honor, a brand that made Mark Briscoe what he is today, and have him go over to Ring of Honor and maybe challenge for the Ring of Honor World title or the TV Championship. Why not? I mean, Christ, man, how many times did we see Mark Briscoe challenge Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship? I can't even tell you how many fucking times. It was getting old. It got old. And I feel like this shit here between Briscoe and MJF, the well has run dry. It's getting old, folks. It's getting old. But we'll talk more about Briscoe and MJF at the end of today's episode. But moving on from that, we kick off the night with Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone, says he's not here for a song and a dance. Ciampa then wants Schiavone to say that Ciampa is better than Jericho. Schiavone says he's not going to do that. Ciampa then gets face-to-face with Schiavone and tells Schiavone to say it. Schiavone then finally says that Ciampa is better than Jericho. After that, Schiavone and Ciampa are interrupted by Jericho. Jericho comes out to the ring. Jericho's music is playing. Ciampa is pissed off and yells, "Cut the music," and yells no. Ciampa says, "Are you happy now that we get this song and dance done with?" Jericho then mocks Ciampa, says he needs to find out who he needs to talk to fight someone with hair. Jericho then introduces himself, and Ciampa says, "I know who the hell you are." Ciampa says, "You know what? You know who I am, because I left you helpless in the middle of the ring 2 weeks ago." After that, Jericho then calls Ciampa Tommy. Jericho then wants to know why Ciampa hates him so much. Jericho and Ciampa get face-to-face. Jericho says that Ciampa hates him because he's not Jericho. After that, Jericho and Ciampa both exchange in the middle of the ring, with AEW security trying to break up the fight between Jericho and Tommaso Ciampa. A couple things about this. I'm going to go over this quickly because I was talking about it a little bit earlier before we did the rundown of the show. I thought this whole segment from Ciampa was awful. I don't know who made this up. I don't know if this came from ChatGPT and they decided, hey, just go out there and read the script and call it a day. This was fucking awful. Number one, I don't know why Jericho and Ciampa are beefing, to be honest with you. I know Ciampa had a list of reasons why he hated Jericho. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand this matchup. I'm assuming we're getting some kind of Jericho and Ciampa match, maybe at Forbidden Door. I'm assuming. Honestly, for what it's worth, I can give a rat's ass about seeing Jericho versus Ciampa just based off what we saw last night. I just thought it was awful, man. I really did. I thought it was some of Ciampa's probably worst work from Ciampa, honestly. I did not enjoy it. I feel like it was lackluster. I don't know who came up with this idea for this promo, this segment between Ciampa and Jericho. But whoever it was, they need to be fired. I literally thought it was the most cringiest shit I've ever seen, number one. And number two, this shit was so below Ciampa, man. I was like, damn, dude, this is where we're at now with Tommaso Ciampa. This is a guy that literally put, AEW on the map and said, hey, I'm not here just to have some matches. I'm here to be the top guy. Do you think Jericho right now is the top guy? This guy just came back from a long hiatus that he took. And he came back and faced off against Ricochet. And Ciampa, for what it's worth, Ciampa's a former TNT champion. I mean, the reign didn't last long. It didn't last at all, more than a cup of coffee. But former TNT champion. I feel like this is something where Jericho has nothing to do. And Jericho's got nothing to do. Let's have a match. And that's exactly why we're getting this bullshit here between Jericho and Tommaso Ciampa. But I was not a big fan of this at all. Moving on from that, we have a Continental title matchup where it's Jon Moxley defending the Continental Championship against Ring of Honor's Shane Taylor. The match itself, it was a decent match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Moxley and Taylor, with Moxley and Taylor both exchanging in the middle of the ring. Taylor was keeping the pace of the match, with Taylor sending Moxley over the barricade onto the timekeeper's table. Taylor then hits a chokeslam, sending Moxley through the timekeeper's table on the outside. Taylor then follows it up by hitting a splash for a near fall. Taylor then hits a devastating lariat for a near fall on Moxley as well, but Moxley gets up, tries to get some offense in. Moxley and Taylor once again both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Moxley quickly hitting a cutter on Taylor for a near fall. Moxley then follows it up by applying an armbar on Taylor, but the hold is broken. After this, Taylor hits a knee strike on Moxley, but Moxley gets up and applies an ankle lock on Taylor, but the hold is broken. Moxley then follows it up by hitting a foot stomp, and then applies a bulldog choke. Referee sounds for the bell, and your winner of the match and still Continental Champion is Jon Moxley. After the match, Taylor attacks Moxley. Taylor then attacks Moxley with a belt. Garcia is here, but Shane Taylor Productions are here as well, and they attack Garcia. Marina Shafir is here, but again, the Shane Taylor Productions end up attacking Marina Shafir as well. I'm going to go over this briefly too, man. I talked about this earlier in the kickoff of the show. I don't understand this matchup. I don't understand why we had to have this matchup. The only logical reason why we had this matchup, like I told you guys earlier, was the fact that AEW was in Cincinnati last night. Jon Moxley is from Cincinnati, and we have Shane Taylor, from what I was told, from Cleveland, Ohio. So Tony Khan thought, hey, let's have two Ohio guys face off in the middle of the ring in Cincinnati, Ohio, since, Cincinnati have this love-hate relationship with Cleveland and vice versa, so let's have a little grudge match here from two guys from the same, state, one from Cincinnati and one from Cleveland, Ohio, going at it in the middle of the ring. So I just felt like it was lackadaisical booking, lazy-ass booking, and honestly, I can give a rat's ass about seeing Shane Taylor back in AEW. I think he needs to stay back in Ring of Honor, in my honest opinion. Moving on from that, we hear from TNT champion Kevin Knight. Knight says it seems like everyone is upset with him, when everyone should be upset with Darby Allin for letting everyone down. Knight says he knows the fans are not mad about him joining the Don Callis family. Kevin Knight then calls out MJF, but all of a sudden we hear Darby Allin's music hits. The crowd erupts. Darby comes out of nowhere and attacks Kevin Knight with a skateboard. Darby then grabs the microphone and says he hopes New York was worth it, bitch. And Don Callis' family are here, and Darby then jumps out of the ring and takes off. A couple things about this. Number one, I'm excited for Kevin Knight. I think Kevin Knight is in a really good spot with the Don Callis family. With him being the heel, I think it's great for Kevin Knight. This was something where when Kevin Knight came in, I told you guys, this guy has all the potential in the world. He's got, future TNT championship written all over him, future AEW world champion. And that's exactly what happened. This guy is a current TNT champion. He ended up turning heel, turning his back on his friend Darby Allin, and he's become a heel. And I like the progression that we're getting here from Kevin Knight. I really do. I think Don Callis I'm not even going to say that Don Callis is a sounding board for Kevin Knight, but to have Kevin Knight a part of the Don Callis family, him being a heel, I think it's really going to be great for Kevin Knight. I think Kevin Knight has a very high ceiling in AEW. He has a lot of potential, all the potential in the world for AEW, but I like him being a heel. Now, some people, I've talked to some people and say, man, I really wish he would have joined the Hurt Syndicate and joined Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. But they're not a heel stable. I know some people that are like saying that Hurt Syndicate are kind of back and forth and being heels and baby faces. I don't feel like the Hurt Syndicate are is a heel stable. Don Callis family are, and they are solidified as a heel stable, 100%. Now, would it have been cool as shit to see Kevin Knight join the likes of Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin? Absolutely. The Hurt Syndicate are immensely over in AEW. Absolutely. But with him being a heel, I think it's better suited for him to be in the Don Callis family. But I do know that the Hurt Syndicate are looking to add some new members to the Hurt Syndicate. So I know a lot of people were saying, oh, it could be Kevin Knight. There's one guy, honestly, even though it doesn't relate to Kevin Knight, that I think would be a great addition, or possible both guys would be a great addition to the Hurt Syndicate if they're both healthy. And that would be Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, Private Party. And they joined the Hurt Syndicate as a full-on stable. I'm not against that either. Or maybe they split up the Private Party and maybe it's Isaiah Cassidy goes over and joins Shelton and Bobby Lashley and MVP in the Hurt Syndicate. I think it's a great addition to the Hurt Syndicate. Absolutely. But Kevin Knight being a part of the Don Callis family, it just works. It just works. And the fact that now we've seen Darby Allin back in AEW. We haven't seen Darby Allin since the matchup that he had against MJF, if I'm not mistaken, at Double or Nothing. So to see Darby Allin back, looks like Darby has his sights set on Kevin Knight, especially after what Kevin Knight did to Darby at the end of Double or Nothing. it looks like Darby has his sights set on the TNT champion, Kevin Knight, which I'm all for that, and who knows, we might get that match at Forbidden Door. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's Mark Briscoe taking on Pac. I thought it was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Briscoe and Pac, with Briscoe hitting a Cactus Jack-type elbow drop off the apron, taking out Pac. Pac gets up, hits a devastating brainbuster on Briscoe onto a chair on the outside. Briscoe then gets up, hits an exploder suplex on Pac, followed by a brainbuster of his own. Briscoe and Pac then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Briscoe hitting a suplex, sending both of them, himself and Pac, out of the ring. Briscoe then hits a blockbuster off the apron for a near fall. Briscoe then goes to the top rope and goes to hit a froggy bow, but Pac had the knees up. Pac then hits a belly-to-belly suplex into the corner on Briscoe. Pac then goes for a shooting star press off the top rope, but Briscoe had the knees up. Briscoe then follows it up by hitting a signature J Drilla on Pac in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Mark Briscoe. After the match, Briscoe grabs a microphone and says he issued a challenge to MJF and you said no like a bitch. After that, MJF is here. MJF is in the crowd with the microphone. MJF says we're not on Briscoe's time. We're on the champ's time. MJF then tells Briscoe he is the final word here in AEW, and his final word is no. MJF says that he is the rising tide of AEW. MJF says that Briscoe is an anchor, dragging AEW down. MJF then mocks the conglomeration. Briscoe then is attacked out of nowhere by Lee Johnson, Jay Lethal, and Blake Christian. Briscoe is trying to fight back. Conglomeration are here. The conglomeration attack Lee Johnson, Jay Lethal, and Blake Christian. Briscoe then says MJF is not the boss, but an asshole. Briscoe says that he talked to Tony Khan about Forbidden Door, and that Tony Khan says it will be a 6-on-6 match, but in a steel cage. So it looks like the conglomeration is going to be joining Mark Briscoe, and it looks like MJF has to try to find some friends, or maybe possibly buy some friends, to help him in the matchup against Mark Briscoe and the conglomeration. Now, if Briscoe wins the match, it looks like he will get a title shot against MJF, but MJF says he has to find 4 other friends for this matchup at Forbidden Door. Some interesting stuff there between MJF and Mark Briscoe. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Andrade El Idolo taking on Orange Cassidy. I thought this was a good match. It's a back-and-forth matchup here between Andrade and Orange Cassidy, with Andrade keeping the pace of the match. Orange Cassidy hits a Hurricane Rana in the middle of the ring, but Andrade goes for a 3 Amigos on Orange Cassidy, but Orange counters it with a Stun Dog Millionaire. Andrade then hits a suplex on the outside. Leo Rush is spotted ringside. He's in the crowd. Leo then takes a selfie with Orange Cassidy as well as Andrade. But Orange Cassidy hits a DDT on Andrade on the outside. Andrade and Orange Cassidy then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Orange Cassidy hitting a springboard DDT on Andrade off the ramp. Orange Cassidy then hits another DDT for a near fall, but Andrade gets up, hits a spinning back elbow, with Andrade hitting the finish, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Andrade El Idolo. After the match, Andrade then says he has one question. Andrade says, "How do you know?" Some interesting stuff there from Andrade El Idolo. Moving on from that, we have an Owen Hart Cup Tournament quarterfinal matchup in the women's bracket. Now, this is Sky Blue taking on Maya World. Now, originally, this match was supposed to be scheduled between Sky Blue and Suri, but unfortunately, Suri was not medically cleared to compete, and Maya World was Suri's replacement in this Owen Hart Cup Tournament quarterfinal matchup. Now, the matchup between Sky Blue and Maya World was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup with Maya hitting a leg lariat, taking out Sky Blue. Sky Blue, though, was trying to keep the pace of the match, with Sky Blue hitting a devastating draping neck breaker onto the ramp on Maya World. Maya gets up, hits a stomp, followed by a German suplex into a pin for a near fall. Sky then hits a devastating Liger Bomb, which was absolutely brutal for a near fall. Maya then hits a running knee for a near fall as well. Sky Blue and Maya both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Maya hitting an enziguri, followed by a release German suplex, taking out Sky Blue. Sky Blue gets up, hits a running knee of her own, followed by multiple super kicks. Sky Blue then hits a cutter for a near fall, but Maya ends up hitting a roll-up on Sky Blue in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to the semifinals in the Owen Hart Cup tournament, is Maya World. Hats off to Maya World for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have an announcement from Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, that Kenny Omega will challenge Zack Sabre Jr. at this year's Forbidden Door. Should be one hell of a match here between Omega and Zack Sabre Jr. Moving on from that, we see MJF backstage. He approaches the Don Callis family holding a briefcase. MJF then offers Don Callis family a briefcase full of money and asks for help from the Don Callis family at Forbidden Door. Kevin Knight then steps up and says he will join MJF as long as he gets an opportunity at the AEW title. MJF agrees, but tells Knight one thing. If he loses, he will never be able to get a chance at the AEW title again. Some interesting stuff there from MJF and the Don Callis family. And moving on from that, we go into the main event of the evening. It is an Owen Hart Cup tournament semifinal matchup in the men's bracket. It is Swerve Strickland taking on Brody King. Now, I thought this was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Swerve and Brody, with Brody keeping the pace of the match. Brody hits a senton off the apron to the outside, taking out Swerve Strickland, but Swerve gets up and botches a house call on Brody King. Swerve then hits a Swerve stomp for a near fall on Brody King, but Brody gets up, sends Swerve onto the announce table on the outside. Swerve and King then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Swerve hitting another house call on Brody King. Swerve then sends Brody into the exposed turnbuckle, and King is busted wide open. Swerve then capitalizes on this by hitting a house call, but it does nothing to Brody King. He just eats it. Swerve then hits another house call from the top rope for a near fall. Brody King then tries to get some offense in by hitting a devastating Death Valley driver, sending Swerve into the corner. Prince Nana was here. He was trying to cause a distraction with Brody King. King then applies a sleeper hold on Prince Nana. King then hits a senton on Swerve into the apron, followed by a pile driver for a near fall. But Prince Nana hits Brody King. This allows Swerve to hit the finish, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to the finals, to face Will Ospreay, is Swerve Strickland. Hats off to Swerve Strickland for getting the win in this matchup. Couple of things I want to talk about when it pertains to AEW Dynamite, man, before I get the hell up out of here. Number one, was it a good show? Hell no. Hell no. No, not even close, man. I mean, look, I'm not going to be one of those individuals that are, that are out here doing this, that are constantly trying to, complain and shit on AEW. That's not my goal here. But I told you guys from the jump, if you guys are here and you enjoy this show, and I hope you guys do, I'm as real as it gets, man. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat shit. I'm not going to sit here and try to rub shoulders and rub elbows with these people being like Tony Khan or Triple H or what have you. That's not why I'm here. That's not me. What I will say is this. Do I think AEW has all the potential in the world? Absolutely. From top to bottom, they have a roster that is amazing. A roster that is going to get even more additions here once July hits. We're talking about the likes of possibly the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. We're also talking about the possibility of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods also coming over to AEW. So AEW's tag team division is going to get a major facelift when we get to July. And all this is possibly happening before we get into AEW's biggest show of the year, being All in August. So next month, around this time, it's going to be very interesting to see how things play out in the dynamic in AEW. So, yeah, they have all the potential in the world, man. They got the talent out the yin-yang. My issue with AEW, and it's always going to be the same thing until I see anything different, is the fact that it's lacking storyline, interest, and enthusiasm, and intrigue into the goddamn show. I mean, come on, man. Anybody watching this show on a Wednesday night, and if you were able to watch Double or Nothing, you can't sit here and tell me to my face that we go from, that was an amazing pay-per-view, and Dynamite's even is remotely on the same page than what we got as Double or Nothing. I would have to say that you were absolutely insane. And people were, well, that was a pay-per-view, this is the weekly episodic television. I understand that. But let me throw this curveball at you real quick before anybody even were to say anything. You say that, but what does the weekly episodic television actually supposed to do? What it's supposed to do is to give us investment, intrigue, excitement, enthusiasm on these shows, storytelling on these weekly episodic television shows, whether it be a Dynamite or Collision episode, to get us fans intrigued with storyline and get us excited for the pay-per-view matchup that will take place from that storyline at the pay-per-view. That's what it's all about, folks. It's not about, okay, we're going to put on the best matches. Yeah, AEW has put on amazing matches. I mean, that has been documented. Some dream matches that no one ever thought it was going to happen. Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega. Remember that shit? I mean, it was an amazing moment. Bryan Danielson and Okada. And that was just to name 2 matches. Just 2. Takeshita and Okada killed it at Double or Nothing. You know, my thing is, we know that they're capable enough of putting on dream matches. That has been well aware and documented. We want story. We want story. And I've said this so many goddamn times, man, that AEW at times is booking this shit like it's WCW 2000 or WCW 1999 and All Japan Pro Wrestling. And the storytelling in WCW 2000 was fucking awful. Was awful. I was a huge WCW fan. 100%. I was a huge WCW fan. But at the end of the day, it's not 2000, and it's not WCW, and this ain't All Japan Pro Wrestling. With all due respect to All Japan Pro Wrestling, it's not the same. It's not. You know, you have the talent. We just want story. We want some intrigue. And at one time, AEW is putting out some of the best storylines of all time, and I can go back and tell you guys some of the most, in my opinion, some of the most coolest storylines AEW ever put together. The Wardlow MJF shit was amazing. Was amazing. The Cody Rhodes MJF shit, when Cody Rhodes was in AEW, amazing. MJF and Jericho, Pinnacle, Inner Circle, the JAS, the Elite, and that storyline. Adam Page and Swerve, that storyline. When Swerve when Page burnt down Swerve's childhood home to goddamn ashes. And you see Adam Page sitting in a comfy lazy boy chair watching that whole place burn to the fucking ground. It was great. It told a hell of a story. MJF and Jericho, great story. Sting's retirement tour, great story. I don't understand the logic of this company now to what it was 3.5 years ago. What the fuck happened? What happened? As far as I'm concerned, for any wrestler that's going to retire, I know we've had a couple. We had John Cena, we had AJ Styles, we had Goldberg, all recently retire. But ain't none of that retirement shit's going to top what they did for Sting. I can tell you guys that right now. What they did for Sting and the storytelling they played out for Sting's retirement tour was absolutely historic. I remember it like it was yesterday, man, where Sting's sitting in that theater all by himself. And he's watching all these old clips of all his accolades that he had in his career. A lot of it obviously wasn't shown from WCW's side, but what he did in New Japan. You know what I mean? All those matches he had over in Japan and all the great moments that he had throughout his career. And the fact that Tony Khan and Sting, Sting brought his kids in and got them involved in his retirement match. You had one of his kids dressed as the NWO Wolfpack Sting. And then you had his other son as, the 1991 Sting, I believe, when Sting was at the Great American Bash, when he beat Ric Flair in Baltimore for the World Heavyweight title. He had that attire on. And then we had Sting himself, of what we see Sting as of now. It was just a great moment, man. A little nostalgic for some of the other characters that Sting, had throughout his career. And then the Sting that we all knew. The original Crow Sting. It was just a great moment, man. And I wish AEW went back to that. And I feel like if you were a fan of AEW and somehow you missed out on that, I feel bad for you. Because that was some of the best storytelling, in my opinion, of all time. Sting's retirement tour, the formation of Pinnacle, JAS, Inner Circle, the first Stadium Stampede was amazing. Bryan Danielson making his debut, bro. I remember that night like it was yesterday too. First we see Adam Cole, and we thought Adam Cole was going to challenge Kenny Omega, and then he reunites with the Elite, and then all of a sudden we hear that strange music, and then we see the likes of Bryan Danielson, man, and that place erupted. It was a great moment. It was an awesome moment. CM Punk, whether people like the guy or not, him coming back to professional wrestling, him showing up in AEW, I think it was in Chicago, Illinois. That place erupted. He was gone for like 8 years and came back. And that's because of AEW and Tony Khan. You got to give him credit on that. It was a great moment, man. It shocked the damn world. I wish AEW can go back to that, man. Give us some moments. Give us some intrigue, man. Give us some excitement. Give us some enthusiasm about this show. I'm not sitting here saying they're going to give you a cliffhanger every single goddamn week. But let's get some excitement, man. Let's get some enthusiasm. Let's get some intrigue with this show to get the fans excited. I mean, last night you had, roughly 1,200 people last night in this music hall in Cincinnati? And because they're in Cincinnati, we got to book Jon Moxley versus Shane Taylor because one guy's from Cincinnati and one guy's from Cleveland, Ohio. Who gives a fuck? Honestly, who cares? Who cares? Seriously, who gives a rat's ass? Hell, there's probably some people that were in that crowd that probably have no idea who the fuck Shane Taylor even was. Why? Because the guy's been wrestling over at Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? And look, I said what I said about Briscoe, and I stand behind it. I think he's a great talent. The Briscoes alone as a tag team are one of the most underrated tag teams of all time. If you weren't a fan of the Briscoes, then you weren't a fan of tag team wrestling, period. I'm sorry. And I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling. I mean, I grew up on tag team wrestling. From way back in the day, the Steiners, the British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith, the Steiners, the Doom, Butch Reed, and Ron Simmons. I thought they were an underrated tag team as well. The Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. Money Incorporated, IRS, and Ted DiBiase. Great tag team. Demolition, great tag team. You know what I mean? I grew up watching these tag teams, and obviously as time went on, then you had the Hardys, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys. I mean, bro, tag team wrestling is awesome when it's done correctly. And like I said earlier, tag team wrestling in AEW, if the rumors are true, is getting a major facelift if the rumors are true, with the possible additions being the New Day, Kofi and Xavier Woods, and the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. If that were to happen, then it's a major facelift for AEW's tag team division, which right now, they need it. They need it. Because at one time, AEW's tag team division was probably one of the best things that they had going. Their tag team division in the very beginning of AEW was stacked. Hell, I can name 3 teams alone that are some of the best tag teams of all time. And this was before the Briscoes. You had the Bucks, you had the Lucha Bros, Penta and Rey Fenix, and you had Santana and Ortiz, LAX. That's just 3 tag teams alone at one time in AEW. They were stacked. It was stacked. It was what some of the best wrestling that they had was in their tag team division in AEW. I mean, hell, look at Penta now. Penta is the Intercontinental Champion. Rey Fenix, right now, from what I understand, is currently the AAA Cruiserweight Champion. Mike Santana, TNA World Champion. I mean, come on, bro. I mean, they have the talent, and they know talent. It's well aware. We just want story. We just want some intrigue. The when, the where, and the why. That is it. That is it. That's all we need. And if they can do that, and maybe go back to what brought them to the dance just a little bit, I would have no problems, man. No issues at all. No issues at all. Another thing I want to talk about briefly here, too, before I get the hell up out of here. There was some news that broke from AEW recently. I think it was a couple days ago that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention if you guys don't know. So, for the longest time, a lot of people have been talking about individuals that have been out with injury, whether it's Wardlow, Adam Cole, Jay White, or Keith Lee. Now, there was news that broke recently pertaining to Keith Lee. Supposedly, Keith Lee is ready to come back. He's ready, he's healthy, and he's ready to come back. And supposedly, AEW right now, the reason why Keith Lee has not been back in AEW is because right now, creatively, and I put that in quotations, creatively, AEW has no plans right now for Keith Lee. And that's the reason why Keith Lee has not been back on AEW television. When I heard about this, I laughed at it, to be honest with you, because creatively, I mean, this company, there is no goddamn creative, number one. Number two, I know some people are like, oh man, you could have put him in the Owen. No, because he's been gone for almost, it seemed like, what, 3 goddamn years? I mean, it's been a minute. No, I wouldn't have put Keith Lee in the Owen. But there's ways where you can bring Keith Lee in to maybe challenge somebody, attack somebody, or just make an appearance. I mean, hell, we just had Double or Nothing. If this guy was healthy and ready to go, then why didn't we see him return at Double or Nothing? Hell, I would say the same thing about Mercedes Moné. If she was ready and healthy and ready to go, then why didn't we have Moné walk out in Queens, New York at Double or Nothing? She would have had, I know for a fact, she would have got more of an ovation from that crowd than what she got when she returned to Dynamite, what was it, in Fairfax, Virginia? They didn't give a rat's ass about Moné being back, bro. She came out to fucking crickets. She would have had a huge pop and ovation from the crowd coming out at Double or Nothing in Queens, New York. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? You got to read the room, bro. Read the fucking room. If Keith Lee is back and he is ready and he's available to come back to work, you need to find plans for these individuals. And that's another problem that Tony Khan has. Well, I don't know how to fit them into the fold. Find a way. Build a story. Have him come out and attack Swerve. The last time I believe that we saw Keith Lee was an interaction that Keith Lee had with Swerve Strickland. So if we get something, hence Forbidden Door, Swerve and Ospreay, it's a clean match. Ospreay gets to win. Swerve's left in the ring, and then we get the return of Keith Lee. Because there's some unfinished business here between Swerve and Keith Lee. Why not? That's how I would bring Keith Lee back and then book him in a match between Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Why not? You know what I mean? You sitting here saying that, well, I don't have no creative plans for him, bro. Your creative team alone is fucking dog shit. That's your excuse? I got no creative for him, bro. What fucking creative team do you got? I mean, let's keep it real. What creative team did you have that's preventing him to come back to work? And my thing is we're all in the same boat here with Keith Lee and Jay White and Britt Baker. I mean, I made my comments about Britt. Britt's healthy. She's ready to go. She's all over TikTok and Instagram and all this other shit, posting this, posting that. I mean, hell, around April, she was at the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, having drinks, dancing around, having a good old fucking time. Why is she not back at work? Why is she not in the Owen? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? No, Britt Baker's in Guantanamo Bay. Because Tony Khan got in his feelings and got all butthurt about shit. That's why Britt Baker hasn't been back on AEW television, because he got his panties in a fucking twist. That's why. I mean, come on, bro. You have to be a fucking boss, man. Especially if you're not going to use these fucking talents, let them go. Let them go. I mean, look what you did to Ray Phoenix, man. You treated Ray Phoenix like dog shit. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I talked to that felt so goddamn... They felt bad for Phoenix. Phoenix couldn't even wrestle. Hell, he couldn't even wrestle and make money on the indies. Because Tony Khan wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't even sell the guy's merch at Dynamite or Collision episodes. This guy was making no money, extra money than what he was making in his contract. And sitting on his ass at home. I mean, dude, it's I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. All we're asking for is story, man. It's not fucking rocket science. It's not. It's one of the most easiest things to comprehend. You know what I mean? You guys go live every Wednesday night. You got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, hell, even if Tuesday, the day before, write some fucking story. You're writing this shit the day of and having these dumbass ideas and throwing them up against the wall, hoping something sticks. And when something sticks, you're like, oh yeah, we're just going to go with that. Come on, man. It's fucking lazy. It's lazy. And because of the laziness, the show turns out to be fucking boring. Boring. This Dynamite episode last night will probably go down easily as probably one of the worst episodes of Dynamite of all 2026. This was fucking boring. It's boring, bro. Then you still have the audacity to put on a 15-minute overrun. Get the fuck out of here. This show is boring. It's fucking boring, man. I'm not going to sit here and go on a limb and say it's worse than SmackDown, but my God, bro. After what we saw last night, sheesh. I mean, it's Christ, bro, it's night and day. Well, either that or it's damn near close to it. I mean, holy shit. Holy shit. That shit from Ciampa and Jericho, that shit that Ciampa said was fucking cringy, man. Cringy. God, it was cringy. Like, what are we doing here? We're going to do a matchup here between Jericho and Ciampa? Are we actually legitimately thinking about writing a storyline for Jericho to face off against people within AEW that are bald? Is that where we're going here with Jericho? The direction? Yeah, let's find us another bald guy for Jericho to go up against. That's the storyline we're going here with. Jesus Christ, man. I see more direction of somebody in a grocery store having more direction and more organization than what the hell we're doing here. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Seriously. Jericho's calling him Tommy. Who gives a shit, man? Seriously. It's just, oh my God, bro. Oh, man. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? I mean, honestly, I know I say that all the time. And trust me, I'm going to make a t-shirt with those words on it. But what the fuck are we doing here? Honestly. There's no sense of fucking direction. Nothing makes sense. You have everybody literally like, they're playing fucking bingo. Saying, oh, I got bingo, bingo, bingo for a fucking title opportunity. Fucking earn it. Fucking earn it. You're running back a situation between Briscoe and MJF that happened 9 fucking months ago. In Toronto. At All Out. At last year's September. Here it is 9 months later. Oh, I beat you in the tables and tax match. And, I had a couple White Claws with Tony Khan. And we decided, hey, that's a good idea. And my thing is, if we're honestly thinking about it, the matchup that they're setting up at Forbidden Door, it's not like it's Mark Briscoe versus MJF one-on-one. This is a 6-on-6 steel cage match where, from what I understand and what was told to me, is if Briscoe gets the win over MJF in this matchup, MJF will grant him an opportunity at the AEW World Title. Here's my red flag with this. What the fuck does these 5 other individuals from both these teams have anything to do with the AEW World Title? You want to put Kevin Knight in MJF's bracket? Great. And I'll say with all due respect to Kevin Knight, which I think they're doing a hell of a job with pushing him as a heel, let's have a match. Let's find a number 1 contender. Why are we doing a 6-on-6 steel cage match where if Briscoe wins, he gets his opportunity at the AEW World Title? So my thing is this. Are we going to do some shit here where Briscoe is somehow going to beat MJF at Forbidden Door, and then we're going to get MJF and Briscoe at Retribution in July? Is that the route we're going here? Because there's other rumors, too, where we're getting into Retribution in July. I believe that's taking place in Canada. And there's also been rumors that Kenny Omega might face off against MJF for the AEW World Title, beat MJF at Retribution in Canada, and then Omega goes to All In, and we get Ospreay versus Omega for the AEW World Title in the main event of All In. That's the other rumor. That's the other speculation. I'm telling you right now, man, a lot of people are very worried on this Retribution AEW pay-per-view card coming up in July. I'm telling you that shit right now. There's some worry. For sure. Because some people don't want to see Omega as the world champion. A lot of people want to see Ospreay versus MJF in Wembley. And honestly, I got to tend to agree with them. Look, I respect the hell out of Omega. I think Omega is one of the greatest of all time. But MJF and Ospreay speaks more of a main event at Wembley than Omega and Ospreay to me. MJF and Ospreay should be the main event at Wembley. Now, do I think that's the direction that AEW is going? Who in the hell knows, bro? I don't trust Tony Khan. I don't. I think, like I said with Briscoe in the 6-on-6 steel cage match. I mean, look, bro, you're looking for an opportunity against Max for the AEW World Title. So your guys' solution being Briscoe and Tony Khan had a discussion and said, hey, you got a clear path to the title, but that path involves a 6-on-6 steel cage match, where if Briscoe gets the win, then he challenges MJF for the AEW World Title. Well, my question is, like I stated a minute ago, respectfully, what does the other 5 members on each other's team have anything to do with the AEW World Title? You know what I'm saying? What do they have to do with the AEW World Title? So I'm assuming, just based off that alone, MJF is looking at bringing in Kevin Knight. I would assume Andrade. I would assume possibly Mark Davis. I mean, that's 3 right there. Maybe one more might be, you got Kevin Knight, Andrade, Mark Davis, MJF. You could probably entertain the idea, I don't know, Lance Archer maybe, or Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, who the hell knows? I don't know, man. Takeshita maybe, if Takesha's still with the Don Callis, who the hell knows? I doubt it. I don't think Takesha's in the Don Callis family anymore after what happened. Or you're going to bring in Kyle Fletcher to join MJF in this steel cage match against Briscoe and the conglomeration? I don't know, man. I don't know. Hell, are we going to bring in Okada to join MJF in this steel cage match? Who the hell knows? It's one of those things, bro, where honestly I just want them to rip off the Band-Aid and we move on from this shit between Max and Briscoe, man. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I really am. I just think it's bullshit, man. It's slop. That's all it is. It's all it is. And yeah, if the rumors are true and we're getting the acquisitions of, the New Day and the Mercy Machine Guns to AEW, yeah, it's going to be great. If they utilize them correctly. And yeah, they can definitely use them because not for nothing, AEW's tag team division right now is in the drizzling shits. It's in the toilet bowl, man. It's in the shitter. I mean, I'm sorry. Their tag team division is in the shit box, man. They're not doing shit with that tag team division. And at one time, their tag team division in AEW was one of the best things they had. I mentioned it earlier. They had 3 of the best tag teams alone in their tag team division. You had the Bucks at one time. Well, you still had the Bucks, but you had the Bucks. And then one time you had the Lucha Bros, Penta and Rey Fenix. And then at one time you had Mike Santana and Ortiz. LAX. Those 3 teams alone are some of the best tag teams in all tag team wrestling. You also had SCU with Kazarian and Scorpio Sky and Christopher Daniels. At one time you had Jurassic Express, Jack Perry and Luchasaurus. You know what I mean? Like, you had a solid core of guys in the tag team division. You've had Evil Uno and those guys, you know what I'm saying, at the tag team division. It wasn't like they had a bad tag team division, but eventually it progressively just turned into shit. So yeah, if they are going to bring in Kofi and Woods and Motor City Machine Guns, yeah, it's a great addition to a tag team division that is in the goddamn shit box. Yeah. And hopefully they can turn chicken shit into chicken salad with that tag team division. Hopefully with the addition of Woods and Kofi as well as the Motor City Machine Guns, because they need it. They need it. So I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, there was some Keith Lee news. Hopefully Keith Lee does come back. I think it's a bullshit excuse that, we don't have no creative plans for him. What creative team do you got, man? You're throwing shit up against the wall hoping something sticks on a weekly basis on the day of the Dynamite. Find something for this guy, man. This guy has been off TV for almost basically 3 years. People have been waiting to see Keith Lee. Bring his ass back. Find something for this guy. You had no problem bringing Wardlow back when he was off TV for God knows how long. You brought him back, and unfortunately the guy tore his bicep or tricep the day of that you brought him back. But Wardlow's been behind. Hell, I think Wardlow was even rumored to be backstage at Double or Nothing. So what are we doing with Wardlow? You know what I'm saying? Figure some shit out, man. People want to see these guys. Bring them back. Bring back Britt Baker. Bring back Jay White. Hopefully he gets, he's healthy to go. Adam Cole, when he's healthy, bring him back as well. Figure it out, man. You tell me, we don't have creative plans for him. Figure it the fuck out. Figure it out. Because not for nothing, it's not like you have some elaborate creative team in AEW, because you guys don't. That creative team is dog shit in AEW. And last night's episode of Dynamite was a pure example of that bullshit creative that AEW has. But with that being said, though, this is my review of AEW's Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.